Harki generally refers to Algerian troops who served in the French army during the Algerian War from 1954 until 1962. However, Harki can also refer to Muslim Algerians who had served in large numbers as regular soldiers with the French Army of Africa from 1830 until 1962. They enlisted as light cavalry and light infantry and played an important role during the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 and especially during World War I, where 100,000 died in fighting against the Imperial German Army. During World War II, after the rearmament of the French army was accomplished by American forces in North Africa from 1942 to 1943, North African troops serving in the French army numbered about 233,000, making up more than 50% of the Free French Army. The North African troops made a major contribution during the liberation of southern France in 1944 and in the campaigns in Italy with the French Expeditionary Corps in Italy and in Germany from 1944 until 1945. Additionally, light infantry from Algeria, Morocco, and West Africa also fought in the Indochina War as part of the French Far East Expeditionary Force until the fall of Dien Bien Phu in 1954. Almost 123,000 North African troops fought for France in Indochina, and some of the Algerians had been organized into elite battalions against the Viet Minh. After the start of the Algerian War in 1954, the loyalty of regular Muslim troops was strained as the French government initially transferred Algerian units to occupied Germany and back to France from Algeria after some cases of desertion and small-scale mutinies. As a replacement, the French government turned to recruiting Harkis as irregular militia-based units in their home villages or towns throughout Algeria. They were initially raised as a self-defense unit, and the Harkis from 1956 onward increasingly served alongside the French army in the field. They were lightly armed, often with shotguns and antique rifles, but their knowledge of the local terrain and conditions made them a valuable auxiliary force to French regular units. By 1960, there were approximately 150,000 Muslim Algerians serving in the French army or as auxiliaries. In addition to volunteers and conscripts serving in regular units, this total number took into account the 95,000 Harkis and the Harkis who also served in separate Mokazni district police forces and 15,000 Harkis in Commando de Chasse or hunting commando tracking units. Enlisted membership of the hunting commandos consisted of mostly Harkis, defected FLN fighters, and veterans of regular French army units. The commandos contained a higher proportion of French personnel than other French colonial units, and their mission was to conduct counterterrorism and special operations. Motivations for working with the French varied among the Harkis. Unemployment was widespread amongst the Muslim population in Algeria, especially in rural districts with low levels of literacy. Therefore, being part of the French military was seen as providing a stable livelihood. Other motives for fighting for the French was to provide for a family and protect personal property rather than strictly being devoted to France. The FLN also had attacked members of rival nationalist groups as well as pro-French Muslim collaborators, and some Algerians became Harkis to avenge the deaths of relatives who had been political opponents of the FLN. Others defected from the FLN rebel and terrorist forces after being persuaded to change sides. Additionally, many Harkis came from families or groups who had traditionally given service to France. During the war, the French deployed the Harkis as guerrilla-style units, although they were mostly maintained in conventional formations. Harkis generally served either in all Algerian units commanded by French officers or in mixed units. Others were employed in platoon-sized or smaller units attached to French battalions. A third role involved Harkis conducting intelligence-gathering operations, with some reported minor false flag operations in support of intelligence collection. Following the French defeat and signing of the Evian Accords, the French government abandoned the Harkis and claimed that they were merely soldiers of fortune who served no purpose in France. The government ordered French officials and security forces to prevent the Harkis from coming into France. However, some military officers disobeyed these orders and tried to assist Harkis that were under their command, as well as their families. Around 90,000 Harkis and their family members were able to find refuge in France and escape Algeria under the FLN. In Algeria, the FLN had claimed that the Harkis would not receive any reprisals, but the FLN, like any terrorist organization, did not follow through with this promise, and many Harkis faced horrific reprisals for cooperating or serving with the French. From 30,000 to 150,000 Harkis and their family members were lynched or killed with extreme cruelty by the FLN. Hundreds died when put to work clearing minefields or were shot. Others were tortured atrociously, with army veterans being made to dig their own tombs, then swallow their own decorations before being killed. They were burned alive, castrated, dragged behind trucks, or cut into pieces with their flesh fed to animals. They were put to death with their entire families, including young children. In France, the French government had no plan for the Harkis and had wanted to get rid of them as they didn't give French citizenship to the Harkis. The government put them in internment camps surrounded by barbed wire. It would not be until the presidency of Jacques Chirac, who had served in the French army during the Algerian War, to acknowledge the sacrifice of the Harkis, holding public ceremonies to commemorate their service, such as the 25th of September 2001 Day of National Recognition for the Harkis. Meanwhile, the Algerian government does not recognize the Harkis as French citizens and therefore does not permit their entrance into Algeria to visit family members who were left behind. Did you know about the Harkis before this video? Is there more that I should have discussed or things that I left out? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.